Hey everyone, it's Lehua and welcome to the Superfina channel. Today we are reviewing the game The Liar Princess and the Blind Prince for the Nintendo Switch, published by NIS America. The Liar Princess and the Blind Prince is a puzzle platformer, meaning to get from point A to point B, players need to clear the stage by solving puzzles consisting of traps and obstacles. You gotta use your brain, and you gotta utilize the limited abilities of your characters. The setting of the story is sort of like a storybook fairy tale with a hint of darkness. It starts with a wolf that sings to the moon almost every night, and a prince that sneaks out to listen to the singer. Through this nightly ritual, the wolf and the prince create a bond. Now the thing is, the prince doesn't know the identity of the singer, and the wolf keeps it that way because she's paranoid that once he figures out that she's a monster, he's going to be scared and that bond will be broken. Unfortunately, the prince does get curious, and what happens is, right before he realizes who the singer is, the wolf panics and slashes his face, and as you saw before the scene, it's kind of gory. There's blood spattering. It's horrific. It's devastating. Before the wolf could see how the prince was, guards came along and she ran away. Days later, she visits the prince at his home, the castle. And when the prince realized that she's visiting, he's like, "Oh wow, great, but how did you get through?" And she explains that she's a princess, and the guards just let her through. This is where the liar princess comes in. So as they're talking, she's asking how he's doing, why is he there, and he says his family confined him because of his disability. They're ashamed of him. He's blind. A blind prince is unfit to be the next king. The wolf gets really guilty. Because of her, he's blind now. And so she proposes that they visit the witch deep in the forest. The witch can grant wishes, but for a price. Now the prince is like, "Oh, okay, but how are we supposed to go through the forest? We're just two humans, and it's filled with monsters. How are we supposed to survive through that and get to the witch that's deep in the forest?" And the other thing is, he's traumatized by the claws that blinded him. The wolf realizes this, and she's like, "Oh man, how am I supposed to get the prince to the forest? I can't guide him. I can't let him know I'm a wolf." So she concludes that she needs to go to the witch herself and wish that she's a human. Using her wolf-like abilities, she quickly goes to the witch and she wishes to be a princess. And remember when I said that there's a price for every wish? The price is that the requester must sacrifice something that is precious to them. And what's precious to the wolf is her singing voice, the very thing that brought her and the prince together. Now, she wants to be a princess, but it's like, okay, there's still monsters there. Fortunately, the witch tweaks that wish a bit. She gives the wolf the form of a princess to guide him through the forest, but also keeps that wolf form to fight off the monsters to protect the prince. This is where we get into the gameplay. To go through the game, the prince and princess must hold hands. They must hold hands throughout the game. You gotta get the prince to the witch. And the prince is an NPC, so you have to guide him. Even though he's an NPC, the princess still can tell him to do stuff, commands. The princess can ask him to move like a certain distance from like left and right and left, but only a certain distance. And then later on in the game, she's able to ask him to pick up things and drop it. These are going to be useful to deactivate obstacles. And later on, you're able to give these commands at a certain distance. But the thing about these abilities, once you learn them, you can only learn them from that stage and onward. You can't, reuse that ability for earlier stage. It can only be from there and onward. And then the princess. The princess, she's like a human. She's delicate like a prince. She can only jump oh so high. She can only go oh so fast. But she can pick up things and like pull latches. Now, the reason why I'm explaining this is because when the prince and princess are together, they're delicate humans. They can die easily. So what I mean is, when they fall from a certain height, they can die. And it's like, oh, you're so weak. And that's where the wolf comes in. The wolf is invincible. She can jump high, she can jump far, she can land from high ground. She's invincible, which is really important for when there needs to be 2 switches to be deactivated. So for example, there's going to be like 2 switches. One is going to be on the ground, the other one is going to be really, really high up. And you can have the prince step on the latch for a switch, and then you can have the wolf jump all the way to that high area to deactivate that other switch. This is going to be helpful for later on when you need to command the prince to go to certain areas, and you need to have the wolf to go in certain areas with their strong, fast abilities. The other thing that the wolf can only do is activate this type of flower that shoots out seeds. Later on in the game, players are going to encounter a flower that shoots out seeds. This flower is going to be utilized to deactivate switches that need some physics thinking. And to make the flower shoot out the seeds, the wolf has to hit it with her strong claws. Yeah, that's another thing. So in every different areas, you're gonna have to solve puzzles. You're gonna have to figure out, how am I gonna get through this area? With the limited abilities of a prince that can only move a certain distance, can only pick up little bit things, and the princess that can only pick things up, pull latches. And the prince and princess can only jump also high. And then you have this wolf that can't hold the prince's hand, but can destroy monsters and can jump farther and higher and land on the ground under 2 feet. Besides the main game, there are side quests or side things to do. 2 of them are collect petals and collect flowers. Petals are the memories of the princess and the prince, wolf and prince. So when you get to the menu, you can look up the memories and go back and like, ooh, oh, this is what happened. Oh, I remember this. And then the flowers is interesting. So flowers are going to be placed throughout the game. When you see the menu, it will indicate where there's a flower. Now you know where the flower is, but you need to figure out how to get there. Just like you gotta solve puzzles, same thing. You gotta solve puzzles to get to that flower. You can see where that flower is, but you gotta figure out, like, how am I supposed to get there? So one of the things that I went through was I was able to get to the flower as a wolf, but the thing with the flowers is only the princess can pick up the flowers. And once you pick the flower, you take it to the prince, because the prince likes flowers. He gets all happy and he gets fuzzy and warm. It's really cute. So you can get to the flower in wolf form, but you gotta get to the prince in princess form. Now there are going to be areas where you can gotta do a lot of jumping, high distances. Like one time, I was able to get a flower, but the prince was too far for me. I was like, oh, maybe I can just jump. I jumped and I died. Like, it just flopped. Done. Like, oh, how am I supposed to get it to the prince? And I'm kind of completionist, so I want to complete everything. I want to get all those flowers. So I had to figure out how to get the prince as close to the flower as possible, and then change into the wolf form. So those are the gameplays. Some side info. So remember when I said that the prince and princess is delicate? So you can protect the prince from monsters, but the prince can die easily by other things. Like what I said before, if he jumps from too high of a distance, boom, dead. If he's on a moving platform, if he's on it and hits the ceiling, dead. And if he's below a moving platform, he can get squished underneath, dead. And you don't want to get the prince killed because it is devastating. The princess, she gets this shock look and then she's like, no! And then the wolf cries. The wolf cries like all was for nothing. She did all of this for nothing. She let the prince die. She's just devastated. You feel really bad. Like you just let your characters down. And it just tugs at your heart. It's like, oh no, I failed you. Fortunately, when that happens, you can still go back to the last saving point. It's auto-saving. Speaking of auto-saving, I finished the game in 6 hours. That's not long, but when you're a completionist like me and you want to get everything, fortunately they have a menu and you can go back to those areas where you didn't get those flower petals or those flowers, which is great. But you are limited with the abilities you learn in that area. Like I said before, you can't take those newly acquired abilities back to those earlier stages, which is fine. It gives that challenge. You're like, haha, I did it even though I was, handicapped. You get that sense of accomplishment. Now besides the gameplay, the music goes really well with the game. It's one of my favorite parts of the game because in each area there's a different song, a different soundtrack, and they're all some type of storybook, happy-go-lucky, upbeat thing with a touch of darkness, which matches with the artwork and the story. Everything's being cohesive, and I really like that. So those are my thoughts on the game. I recommend this. It's fun. It's not too long. It's not too short. I also have a written review on this at the website www.lehuajoy.com. I want to thank NIS America for giving me this copy to review. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to do this for you guys. So this is the game, The Liar Princess and the Blind Prince on the Nintendo Switch, published by NIS America. Let me know what you guys thought about this. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What kind of questions do you have? Leave them in the comments below. Until next time. Congratulations! You have reached the end of this video! Thank you so much for watching the Superfina review. If you like this, don't forget to hit that like button, and if you haven't, subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified on future content. You can also find me on social media, and we also live stream on Twitch. I'll also have the link below in the description. I hope to see you guys there. Bye!